8-4 is a combination of applied word problems, and we have some kind of heavy fraction solving to do. We'll save the heavy fraction stuff for tomorrow, but we're going to do 2 word problems today. Okay, so this is the applied section, so this is the last section of chapter 8, so we are getting to the end. I have to kind of play with the days and see where we're going to be at, but possibly the test could be at the end of the week. We will see. I'll try to let you know by tomorrow.
End of the week?
Yeah.
No.
Yep, that's fine. We'll write that later. I'm not concerned with who's gone and who's not. Okay, so in a jar of coins, there are 30 fewer quarters than dimes. The amount of money in dimes equals the amount of money in quarters. Okay, how many dimes are in the jar? The very first thing you want to do, well, what I kind of do is we have kind of highlight the important information. So we have 30 fewer quarters than dimes. That's pretty important. Amount of dimes equals the amount of quarters. That's important. And wants to know how many dimes. Okay, but here's the thing. The reason it's confusing to you is because how many of you, when you just tried, if you just tried, just let's see you did, how many of you put 2 variables? Okay, very good. That's the problem. We don't want to do 2 variables. You guys aren't ready for that yet. Okay, we want to do 1 variable. So what you need to do is identify your variable, and then you have a comparison of them. So what I'm saying is, it says how many dimes. So let's make dimes be our variable. We'll say D for dimes. Okay? It's in a jar of coin. There's 30 fewer quarters than dimes. See how we have a comparison of quarter to dimes? So quarters is dimes minus 30. Right? So don't put Q, put D minus 30. Okay? So here it is. We are going to do dimes. So the amount of dimes equals the amount of quarters. Okay, so we have, how much is a dime worth?
10.
So we're going to go 0.10D equals a quarter is worth 0.25. Instead of putting Q here, we're going to put that in there so that we have another D. We don't have Q. Okay, so I'll write it here so you can see what I'm talking about. So it looks like this. And we're comfortable with this. We've done this step. I'm going to pause there.
So, which side do you work with first?
Good question. It doesn't really matter. And what I would do first is I would distribute first, and then we'll talk. Okay? So what Luke's saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Luke, is there's D's on both sides. You're not sure which side to go for. Okay? Your first step should be to get the D's together. Okay? Once you get that together, you're good to go. Does that make sense? All right. All right, so distribute. So there it is. You always, when I do here, at this point, we want to have our variables together. I move the smallest variable. What's smaller, 10 cents or 25 cents? 10. Okay, 10. The reason I move the smallest is because I want to keep a positive variable if I can. So when I'm saying move, how do I move this? See, the divide's the weird thing. If I divide it, it's going to be a 1. We want it to be gone. So you subtract it. Like that. So this is gone, which is 0. 25 cents minus 10 cents is 15 cents. And now we're just going to solve. What do we do next? Luke? Yep. Add 7.5. See, like, don't be alarmed because it's 0 over here. It's still a number. Okay? Yeah. Well, because this was 10 cents D minus 10 cents D, which is the exact same. This is 25 cents minus 10 cents, so 15 cents. So the D's don't cancel because if I have 3x minus 2x, it's 1x, not 1.
Oh.
Right? You don't take away things. The reason I move this whole thing physically over Does that make sense? Or another way of thinking about it, actually, Aiden, 10 cents minus 10 cents is 0. 0D is nothing.
Oh, okay.
That's a better way of thinking about it. This is 25 cents minus 10 cents. Okay, so our last step, guys and gals, is to divide by 0.15. Okay, once you do that, according to my notes, you get D is 50. That means there was 50 dimes. So if there's 50 dimes, how many quarters were there? 20. What's a way we can verify that? I'm in the equation, but you also can do it just do it out loud. What's 50 times 10 cents? If you have 50 dimes, how much money do you have? $5. You guys should know that. Right? Okay, 50 times 10 cents is $5. Okay, what is 20 times 25 cents? It's also $5. Okay, so they said they're going to be equal, right? So we just proved that those amounts are equal in money. Okay, all right, so give the show you know a try. I know this is confusing, okay, but try to peel off what I just did. Give the show you know a try. It's the same setup, just different type of coins. And we'll see how you can do here. I'll pause the video. All right, so let's just talk about the setup here. So again, it's very similar. I'll go ahead and just do this one. Okay, if you have everything set up, then let's just check and see how you did. First of all, we're talking about nickels. So remember, the first thing is let's identify the variable we want. Okay, nickels is what we're going to use as our variable. Now, if you use quarters, you still could use quarters, but I'm going to go with nickels. Okay? If you use quarters, let's see if you came out the same answer. Okay? We know that nickels is just n, number of nickels, and we know quarters is going to be n minus 20, because there's 20 more nickels than quarters. No, so it's more nickels than quarters. So if quarters, nickels minus 20 would equal quarters. Because if I add the 20, that's Q plus 20. Does that make sense? Because there's more nickels than quarters, right? Okay. All right, so then our setup would be 0.05n equals 0.25n minus 20. Very similar to the last problem. Then we distribute. Minus 5. 25 cents times 20 is $5. Okay, again, I'm going to move my ends together and move the smallest one. Yeah, you're fine. You got a negative 20? You can. Yep, I just do that to avoid negatives. If you're 5 negatives, you can move the end the other way, okay? Not a big deal. So we get 0.20n minus 5. Add the 5. Oops, it's crazy in there. Divide by 0.20. You're going to get 25 nickels. Okay, so let me talk about what Connor was saying is that you can minus the 0.25 over. So if you do that, instead, you'd get negative 0.20n equals negative 5, and then you divide by negative 0.20. Man, my brain's not working. Like that, and then you'd still get 25. Sure, so the quarters, if you made quarters your variable, that means you'd have 0.25q is equivalent to 0.05q plus 20. So that's how you do it if you're doing with quarters. So you have 25 cents for quarters, and then there is nickels was quarters plus 20 extra nickels. Okay, and so if we did that way, That would be 5 cents times 20 would be plus $1. You'd minus 0.05 Q. That gives me 20 cents Q. Divide by 0.2. Not negative 0.2. You're going to get quarters is 5, which makes sense because 25 and 5 are how far apart? 20, which is what it said. Okay, so let me pause here. I see little confused faces. So check this out. This way here was how we solved making n our variable. Okay, and we solved for n. This way here was we made q our variable. Okay, because Connor said, what about if you went with the quarters? Both are okay. This here, I just moved a different way for n, just to make, it didn't matter if it's negative. So that was just the same thing, just a different way. Okay, any questions on anything I did there? Okay, so I guess the confused faces, so I'm expecting a couple questions here. So again, it doesn't matter if you identify q or n as your variable, you just have to identify which one you want to use. Yeah?
So why do we minus 0.05?
Yeah, so the reason I minus the 0.05 is just habit. I like to make my n stay positive. So if I do it this way, where I minus the 0.25, see how I get a negative 0.2? I just like to stay away from negatives. You don't have to, though. So when you get to this step right here, you definitely could minus the 0.25 instead of the 0.05. Okay, so really that's the part I don't want you to be confused on. That's just my preference. Okay, anything else? Thank you for the question. Any other questions? We've got one more example we're going to do, and then I'll give you guys your little problem of the day. Nothing? Okay. All right, so we'll start. I'll do this example for you. Tomorrow we'll start with this show you know as a warm-up, okay? So we'll kind of cut this exactly in half. Okay, so example 2. Elaine has $33.50. He saves $4.25 a week. Eva has $24.25. She saves $5.50 a week. How many weeks will they have the same amount of money? So the thing that doesn't change is how much they have right now. That's called your constant. So that will not have a variable on it. Things are changing per week. Okay, so W will be my variable. Because it says how many weeks. So it's telling you what you're solving for. So one thing I like to write weeks is your variable. And this is how you'd set it up. So Elaine, I'll just kind of write it, her name or his name, sorry. And it would be $35.50 plus $4.25 a week. $35.50 plus 4.25 W. I think by moving the smaller W will make more sense to you in a problem like this. Eva is $24.25 plus $5.50 a week. W. Okay. So Cato, which W do you think I'm going to move? Yeah, I'm going to move the Elaine's because 4.25 is smaller. And so I'm going to keep my W's positive there. Okay? This is the kind of stuff right here, guys, that I really want to stress. If you're doing your calculator, a bunch of stuff, you need to write this down. When I'm showing you, when I'm looking at your work on a test or a quiz, if I don't see this right here, I'm going to be concerned. Okay? Because to me, you're not doing the steps. Okay? You're not doing the steps appropriately. All right, so this here's gone. 35.50 is what's left on this side. 550 minus 425 is 125. Okay. Blackie, what do you think you'd move next? Remember, try and get the W by itself. So zero in on the W. Okay, what do you want to move next? Okay, let me give you a hint here. So here's W. This is a problem, and this is a problem. These are the last two things I need to get rid of. Which one would you get rid of first? Okay, so let me ask you another question. Guys, just hold on. This is adding, right? 24.25 is plus, and this is multiplying. When you're solving, we do order operations backwards. So when you're going backwards through bed mass, I'm going this way. What comes first, addition, subtraction, or multiplication, division? So which would you get rid of? Right, 24, 25, okay? Another thing I want Blackies to tell you is that another thing I kind of do is, see the W's here? What's farthest away from it? The 24, 25, okay? I don't want you to, because it's weird. If you divide this, you have to do it to everything, and it gets messy, okay? All right, so we minus this next. That's gone now. Go and do the subtraction here. We get 0.25, 1, 1125. So 3550 minus 2425 is 1125. And I have the 1.25, forgot my W. Now we divide like Blackie said. This is when we want to divide. W is 9, thank you. So at 9 weeks, Elaine and Eva will have the same amount of money at 9 weeks. Okay? All right, so we'll pause it here. So this will be 8.4 part 1 notes. Okay?